What's up, everybody?
Hello.
How art thou?
How goes it, people out there in whatever land?
Good evening, Earthlings.
Very strange, that is. I have no idea where that came from.
I don't know either. I just decided to do Marvin the Martian, and it was awesome. So What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Battle Bros podcast. I know.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been a week. It's been a week since we've been on here. It's been a couple weeks, actually. So, sorry about that. But we had some scheduling conflicts. So,
We had
it
things
happens.
going on.
We had what?
We had things going on.
We had things going on. That's correct. But here we are for the season finale, season 5 of the Battle Bros podcast. So,
Season 5.
so glad you could be a part of it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being with us along the
believe
journey.
It's been that long.
Dude, we were just saying earlier this year, like, holy shit, we reached 100 episodes, and now we're like the end of season 5, and it's just like, but we just started it. Oh yeah, we did get going a little while
It's
ago.
freaking nutso, man.
Yeah, it is. So it's been crazy, man.
Yar.
I will say it's probably one of the coolest and proudest things I've ever been a part of, hands down. I enjoy doing this. It's turned into a labor of love, actually. Yes, labor of love. That being said, I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of time off for the summer, enjoy some time with the kids, do other things for a little while, just kind of recharge the battery, so to speak, and spend time with my daughter because she is not getting any younger. She just graduated the 5th grade, so now I have officially have a middle schooler now.
Yeah. Jaden's going to 7th. That's just 2 more years from high school. Holy freaking crap.
Makes you feel old. And if you don't have kids, man, it just makes you feel old as a parent. You're just like, but they were just little the other day. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Now he's like almost in high school. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're gonna be 12, and then next year you're gonna be an actual teenager. Like,
yeah. Oh, I'm so glad one of us has booze.
Oh no. Do pray tell.
I thought you had booze. You had that bottle you showed me earlier.
I do.
Okay.
I thought you had Horse Soldier.
I do, but I didn't grab it. Oh well.
You suck.
That's what she said.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, if you're new to the show, it's kind of an interesting time to be new to the show. Welcome. This is our season 5 finale of the Battle Bros podcast. My name is Mac. This is Alma over here. If you're new to viewing or listening to us, welcome to the Thunderdome. Bitches! I don't know why I put that spin on it. It just sounded funnier in my head. In reality, it wasn't.
A lot of things sound funny in our head, and then they end up being kind of so.
Yeah. So, but Alamo and I have known each other for going on 20 years. Yeah, 21 years, actually. We met in 2001.
Frickin' hooey.
No.
We met in
24 years.
Dude. Yeah.
Why
Makes you feel old, don't it? We've known each other almost a quarter of a century.
Fuck. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Parental advisory to Army guys that swear like sailors. How about that?
Who would have thought?
Yeah, so we've known each other for a long damn time. Became friends in high school, stayed in touch, and now we have a podcast. We'll explain that a little bit more at the end of the show. But for now, we're going to get into the nitty gritty and kind of get the ball rolling. If you haven't already done so, please feel free to get on our YouTube page. You can go to youtube.com and search Battle Bros Podcast. You'll find our show page, and then from there, it will have a link to all of our other social media accounts.
All the social media
Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it, it's there. Yada yada yada. Um, freaking, you can also like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. So whenever we have a new episode, like tonight, it'll show up on your stuff. Going, oh, I need to go watch these guys. So if you want, I mean, it'd be cool. We appreciate it. We think really high and mightily of you. So thank you very much. We appreciate you.
We appreciate what you do.
So before we get in, before we get into our show tonight, let's go over a little bit of news. In 2 weeks from today, actually, no, I'm sorry, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Tomorrow is May 31st. So in 2 weeks, it'll be June 14th. And that day is significant for a couple of reasons. One, that weekend is significant for a couple of reasons. Number one, June 14th is the 250th anniversary, birthday, if you will, of the U.S. Army, of which Alamo and I are both alumni/veterans.
1775.
Yep. So that's a big deal. It's 250 years. That's kind of cool to be around for a big year like that. So
hell yeah. Happy birthday, Army.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't born in a bar or anything. That we got to leave that to the Marines. That's cool.
Yeah, we were born of the Continental Congress.
Yes. 10 companies of riflemen.
Yeah. Not exactly a bunch of guys in a bar, having drinks and being like, let's make ourselves some Marines. But, pretty cool too.
Yeah. So that'll be cool. And then the day after, June 15th, that Sunday, is Father's Day. So that'll be a kind of a cool weekend. So we will be out doing an event with Alamo's lovely wife, Tisha, and her show/channel called Flipside Mentorship. We will be having our Battle Buddies Beach Day. And we're going to be talking to kids about some, life lessons, that kind of stuff, having a good old time.
Leadership.
We have a lot of fun with that. So, which reminds me, I gotta procure the dinghy again. The raft.
Yes.
Yeah, gotta make sure that happens.
The kids had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, they did. Lord. And it's something simple. It's like, all right, cool, let's do that.
Just be prepared to, be worn out on the waves.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it goes for both of us. So So yeah, that was the news I found. Everything else is, if it's overly political, I try to stay away from it. To be 100% honest, because listen, our day-to-day lives, we get enough of that stuff already. I'm not trying to add to it, so that was just a happy thing. It's all right. 250th birthday, go big Army! Woo!
Happy birthday, Army!
Woo-hoo! Exactly. So that's the news, and that's it. Yeah. So, all right, let's get into our show, shall we? So, if you caught our last show a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the subject of depression and how that can hit pretty hard and whatnot. If you want to go back and check that out, feel free to check it out on YouTube. I know we're still trying to get updated on some of the other channels like Spotify and whatnot. So bear with us. That'll probably be coming a little bit easier now that we're not having to do a show and juggle jobs and family life and all the stuff in life, all the stuff. Yeah. But it's coming, so don't worry about it. I don't even know what episode was last on Spotify and stuff. So
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I lost track. I was uploading them pretty good in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing good."
Yeah, so it happens. So for our season 5 finale, if you didn't already see the thumbnail, we are going to be talking about the subject of drumroll.
Peace.
Okay. I kind of felt like this would be a good way for us to wrap up season 5, and then also a good tie-in talking about depression from last episode, and then also as a good round out of Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May. So it's kind of fitting for a lot of different reasons. Okay. So what what is peace defined as? Glad you asked. Peace is this that's PEACE, not the other piece, like I'm carrying a
Yeah.
piece.
Or a side
Mogu.
piece.
Oh, okay, that went in a weird place, but yeah, that's fine. Peace, freedom from disturbance, tranquility, a state or period in which there is no war or a war has ended. Okay. Now we're going to talk about several different things. Okay. I want to start off with the subject of like finding inner peace with veterans and whatnot. Okay.
Haley.
So there's a big, I would say it's not big, but it's a pretty common stereotype that guys come home from war, especially during Vietnam. Not so much our generation, the GWAT generation, because of we were very fortunate that we had the old timers, the Vietnam vets saying, we're damn sure not going to let what happened to us happen to you guys, which, I am eternally grateful for that those guys were, keeping, I guess not like exactly like a gatekeeper almost, like they're keeping
Yeah.
just the riffraff at bay and all this stuff. But I did find something that I shared with several people, and I want to share it with you guys. I think this came across I saw it on a Facebook short, and it just really seemed very fitting for what we're talking about tonight. So I was like, yeah, sure, let me save this real quick. So this is called the foreign veteran theory. Okay, and I'm going to read this to you real quick because this describes it kind of puts a lot of things into perspective when we talk about peace and whatnot. Okay, so here we go. This was posted to a website called medium.com, and this was posted May 17th, so a couple weeks ago. It's kind of a poem or kind of like a narrative, so to speak, but it's pretty fitting. So this is why I'm including it. So, oh, I need to turn that tab off. Oops. So here we go. Actually, hold on. Had to wet the whistle. Okay. We didn't return to society. Most of us were never in it to begin with. We left at 18, not from our hometowns, but from childhood, straight out of desks and into steel, into sand, into systems that taught us how to move, how to shut up, how to bleed quietly, and laugh anyway. We didn't grow up in this world. We grew up in the machine. And when the uniform came off, they called it coming home. Welcome back, they said. But back to what? To a life we were never trained for, to emotions we were taught to bury, to jobs that don't bark orders, to cities that feel too loud and too soft. At the same damn time, we were trained for war, never for peace, never for bills or birthdays or the hollow silence of a civilian Tuesday. Now we're here, not broken, just unbriefed, operating in a country we never truly knew. We're not crazy, we're just foreign, and this is hostile terrain disguised as home. So I found that, and I was just like, whoa, like that hit pretty close. And I was kind of browsing through some stuff, and I saw there's a pretty awesome company that I'm a big fan of. It's called Till Valhalla Project, and
Haley. Great
they make
organization.
it, yeah, they make great organization. They're all about ending veteran suicide. I have one of their little memorial bracelets right here. Um, they do a lot of different stuff. They have like t-shirts and apparel and like hoodies and stuff. But one of the shirts they said that they sell has the saying, if we're going to send them, we have to also mend them, like when they come home, like fix them when
Yeah.
they're broken or when they're hurt and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, yeah. So I guess on one hand, like you train for going over and fighting and doing these things, which most people don't want to know about. They don't want to hear the nitty gritty. They want to hear about, oh yeah, parades and flags and this, that, and the other. They don't want to hear about like having to do just what the average civilian populist person would consider unimaginable or just completely foreign or alien because they don't know.
Yeah.
They have never been in that experience. And that's fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but just it's kind of like when somebody has an opinion on something that's kind of on the outside looking in. It's like you're not very informed. It's like if you don't have kids and you're making a comment about having kids, it's like I get what you're trying to do. I get where you're coming from, but if you don't know, you don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of like they're saying if you know, you know. Well, if you don't know, you don't know.
Hell, that's
Same
freaking.
shit.
That's like 90% of society nowadays.
Yeah, and I get it. Everybody wants to have a voice and have an opinion, and hey, that's great. I'm not saying you can't. We're guaranteed, freedom of speech. Everybody's allowed to have an opinion and whatnot.
You know,
What's up?
a wise woman once told me.
What did your wife say?
The other wise woman. Opinions are like an asshole. Everyone's got one. They all smell like shit.
Was that your lovely mother? Yeah.
Yeah.
Macho, I gotta tell you something. Everybody's got an opinion.
Opinions are like an asshole.
Assholes. Everyone's got one and they all smell like shit. Okay? I can see you're saying that too. That's fantastic. Shout out to Macho's Ma. Hola, madre. Bendición. You got to show her that now.
Yeah. But
go ahead.
It's so valid though. Because just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it validates what you're saying towards whatever situation it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes what your opinion is doesn't even matter to the grand scheme of things. And that goes for every one of us. Every one of us has an opinion on something.
Yeah, and listen, it's okay to have an opinion. Sometimes it's best just to leave it in the old brain box and just never let it see the light of day. You can always have an opinion, but just it doesn't mean you have to engage it and put it into the escape trunk and go and put it out in the world and stuff.
Don't let your verbal diarrhea stink up the room.
Oh, I like that one. You need to write that down. Put a tampon in your mouth. That way the verbal diarrhea don't mess up everybody else's day. Something along those lines. That'll be good.
Yeah. The verbal diarrhea must stay.
Yeah.
We don't want a stinky room here.
But, so it's funny, we were talking about peace and this, that, and the other. And like, there's just a lot of different things that encompasses. So this could probably be a little bit of a longer show. We kind of intended it to be a longer show, but we kind of understand that it could run the risk
plus it's the last episode of the season.
Running long. So it's like, it is what it is. So, yeah. There is another article that I wanted to read. This is the Warrior and Quiet Waters article. This is I think the first hyperlink that we have in the notes here, Macho.
Warrior and Quiet Waters.
So this is a letter from a gentleman by the name of Brian Gilman. He is a Marine colonel, retired. He is the CEO of this organization called Warriors and Quiet Waters. And this is the 2022 fall CEO letter. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. So this is pretty good. Are you pulling that up right now there, bud?
Hey, Rep.
Okay. And so it begins. All right. It was January 1994. Chaos descended out of nowhere. I was 2 days into the U.S. Marine Corps Officer Candidate School. This was pickup day, the day our company's drill instructors took control. First thing our platoon did was get haircuts. In less than a minute, I sat in the barber chair at the position of attention and was shaved bald. The second thing we did was dump all our possessions on the ground where our drill instructors rifled through them and confiscated everything of a personal nature: our clothes, our identification, our photos. This action began the multi month process of destroying our individual identities and rebuilding them as disciplined members of a team. From that point on, and for the rest of my 27-year career as an active duty Marine, the Corps provided everything I needed to thrive as a member of the Marine Corps team. The Corps clothed me, housed me, fed me, trained me, educated me, and gave me teammates with whom I forged some of the most intense personal relationships of my life. The Corps instilled in me an extreme sense of shared values and gave me a mission that I understood and was well trained to accomplish. The Corps built in me and my fellow officer candidates a strong sense of self, a renewed identity with a clear understanding of our potential. Finally, the Corps gave us a sense of purpose that bound us to the core values of honor, courage, and commitment for life. My experience reflects the typical experience of the 3.4 million post 9/11 combat veterans and the millions who preceded us. When an enlistee enters U.S. military, the military provides all the needs that service member requires to thrive in the military for the duration of their service. This is by design. The U.S. military does this to remove every possible distraction so its soldiers, airmen, sailors, Coast Guardsmen, and Marines can focus solely on their mission. Contrast that experience against what the typical veteran experiences when they leave the military. When members of our armed forces leave the military, all the needs previously provided for by the military are stripped away, and the newly minted veterans are left to rebuild those needs entirely on their own. Unlike the transition into the military, their reintegration is organized only by them. The duration and character of this process depend on the veteran's individual circumstances, the intensity of their military service, and the challenges associated with that service. Throughout the process of re entering civilian society, self becomes the primary consideration again. The individual has to choose the identity, mission, values, and culture that are important to them. There's a quote here that says, as a result, reintegration into civilian society leaves the average service member feeling like an alien in their own country, ill equipped to thrive in their new environment. The psychological and sociological elements of transition are not limited to finding employment, are not limited to simply finding employment, but rather involve a total reinvention of oneself, typically over a period of years. The transition process is disorienting and destabilizing and can cause significant psychological distress as one attempts to find themselves in this new world. The struggle to find a new identity and the ensuing distress that emerges as a part of this process is near universal. And this was a quote from Daniel Savage, who is a former U.S. Army infantry officer and former head of military and veterans programs at LinkedIn. We understand that this universal challenge that post 9/11 combat veterans face, warriors, I'm sorry, let me try that again. We understand this universal challenge that post 9/11 combat veterans face. Warriors and Quiet Waters Foundation has always delivered veteran programming designed to help warriors make meaning of their service, rebuild the human connections important to live a thriving life, and find stability in their new environment through inspirational, immersive activities in nature, like fly fishing. Our programs are designed to enable veterans to rebuild the hierarchy of needs they lost when they left the military. With our newest program, Hunt for Purpose, and the exciting additions we're making to our programs in 2023, WQW, which is the initials of Warrior and Quiet Waters, programs will enable post 9/11 combat veterans and their loved ones to craft their new identity and purpose as veterans so they can live a thriving life of personal growth and resiliency. Thriving veterans contribute to thriving communities, and that means a better future for all of us. And then he signs off by saying, with gratitude, Brian Gilman, Colonel, U.S. Simpson retired CEO, Warrior Quiet Waters. So, I mean, that kind of says a lot of stuff. It's like you go in, you surrender yourself to the military, you give you everything you need, in one aspect, in most aspects, if not all of them. I mean, listed, we get everything we need. We get the meals, we get free clothing, equipment, all that stuff. You just got to sign for the shit.
All provided for you.
Officers, yeah. And then you just go from, I have everything taken care of. Here's a piece of paper that says DD 214.
Now I
There's the
got to take
street.
care of my own shit.
There's the street. Learn to like it.
Yep.
So yeah,
That's and that's kind of like the experience. Like I feel like a lot of the guys like that got out, especially like early on. That they did like maybe a 4 year freaking stint, got out, and then I feel like that's what a lot of guys went through, because you see a lot of the guys, they went in, they found out either they didn't want to do this their whole lives, or they
they
wanted
had
to
to change
freaking
your
get
heart.
out. Yeah, they had to change their heart on it, or they went in, they were like, shit, I want to go to school, and then maybe come back and be an officer or whatever. And civilian life gives them this kick in the balls that, you know, is like probably the most painful fucking wake up call you could ever freaking get. I mean, I went through it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
went through that. You know what I'm saying? Like that transition from active duty to what the hell am I doing now was by far the hardest thing I think I've ever done. Even in all in being a freaking dad is hard. Right? Being a dad is hard,
and,
especially with
and it's its
two
own
rambunctious
separate
ass
kind of
kids.
hard. What say what? To what?
Two rambunctious ass kids. Um, but
You have great boys, by the way.
that would yeah, they're
I
good
do
boys.
agree with your assessment, however. So,
But you know,
how would you describe your kids in a word? Feral.
basically. um, but when you get out and you are looking at your life from the other side of things, and just you know a couple months ago, a year ago, whatever, you think to yourself like, holy crap, what brought me peace before was I got this team of amazing freaking brothers that I'm working with. you know I'm working, and some people could think otherwise. I don't know, whatever. But I'm working in the best damn freaking branch of the military ever. Doing freaking,
And I'm sure
you
everybody
know,
says that.
and yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then all of a sudden you go from that to, and something like that brought you peace. That brought you peace, knowing you had, people to back you up. You had resources. You had everything you needed right there provided for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think about you. The image that
You
just
know,
kind of flashed into my head was when you were telling that story when we were talking about the holidays last year, season 4, I think it was, and you
yeah.
were just talking about you got like a country boy, country guy over here with a dude from the Bronx cooking like Spanish food, and he's like, "Man, this is some good stuff." Like you just have that melting pot microcosm of just culture going
Yeah.
on, and it's like I came for it's like I saw a shirt that said, "I came for the war, I stayed for the friends." It's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons. It's like
It's accurate, man.
it's very accurate. But I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I'm sorry.
No,
Finish
no,
what
no,
you're saying.
you're good. You're good. No, but w- you know, I guess the thing you're left with when you get out, you're sitting there wondering because you think to yourself like, I don't have my group, I don't have resources, I don't have any of this stuff. I'm doing everything on my own. Like, how do I find peace in all this chaos of civilian life that honest to God, I don't, because you go in and the identity of being a civilian is it's stripped from you. You are taken and you're this freaking mold of clay, and you are remolded into, Joe Schmo warrior, and you're like, you're the soldier that your
Private
country needs you to be,
potato.
and you're put in, harm's way because your country needs you, and you are the part of the greatest freaking warrior force on the planet, and then all of a sudden that's stripped from you when you get out.
And I would also venture to say that's
Yeah.
worse. It's
Yeah.
like your identity gets stripped away because you're shedding that off to grow and have some growth and be adaptive to being
Yeah.
part of a fighting force, being part of a team, and having those basic, character traits instilled in you. They're going to still grow on your own, obviously, as you go through your
Yes.
time in the service and whatnot,
Yes.
and as you mature as an individual, but also part of that. But when you leave, it's like I'm doing like, okay, you broke your finger. So like I have to re-break your finger to reset it. So they break
Yeah.
your finger again and they set it, and now your finger's a lot stronger. When you leave, it's like ripping this nasty road rash scar off. It's just like, all right, you're good.
Yep.
There you go. Can I get a first? Oh, we're no longer responsible for you, so there's that.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
So it goes into this whole thing of like, how do you adjust fire? How do you readjust? How do you find your peace when all the peace you knew was left behind you? Just, months, 1 year, whatever, however long ago, however long it takes you to get out of this, you know, shit filled freaking hole that you've dug yourself into. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, I think the direction we're going with this is like, how do you dig yourself out of the hole that you're in? Once you, like, how do you find your peace when you don't have your brothers there constantly and you don't have the resources? You know what I mean? Like, I know for me, it was it was difficult. For me, it was learning how to say to myself, look, I don't have the resources that I had before, but you know, I'm going to have to learn how to rely on myself for now. Um and really come to terms with the fact that, you know, I there are things that I'm going to have to do on my own, but I don't have to do it on my own all the time.
yeah,
And which I think that's the main issue, like, we as, guys in the military, as we face, is that to us, n- nobody to us is as good as the guys we served with. Therefore, when we get out, the guys who understood us are gone. Not typically physically. I mean, sometimes we lose them. Obviously, it's why we have this
they're
show.
just not in the same level of proximity to you.
Correct. And because of that, we feel like the there's nobody we can turn to. The problem that we face is that we have to figure out that and I feel like the military has gotten a lot better with it, especially with, explaining resources to guys and gals getting out.
Like when you do the out process briefing and stuff. Yeah.
I don't know how much better they've gotten, but I've heard they have gotten better. Um, the one big thing we have to get really set in our minds is that, well, there's always someone we can turn to. There's always resources we can, that, just because we don't have our brothers there doesn't mean that we have to do it on our own because they're not there. You know what I'm saying? For
Sure.
and for me, for me specifically, um, a big part of that was um a big part of helping me do that honestly was, my wife. Um um who back then was, girlfriend, then fiance, then, um she kind of helped break that she kind of helped me break down that barrier that was like, because for me, I always wanted to do everything on my own. I didn't, it's like, and I think what brings you more peace, and this is what one thing that I think we have to realize is, to a certain degree, you're gonna have to give up control. You're gonna have to give up control because shit happens. Things happen, right? They're gonna happen. It's part of life, and a lot of the time, it's gonna be outside of our control. Like we're not gonna be able to do anything about everything in the world. We're one infinitesimal freaking speck in the freaking galaxy that we live in. Like the the universe goes on. Um and you know when it comes down to especially how I started finding my peace was realizing, like, well, I'm not going to be able to control everything. I mean, yeah, it sucks, but and to this day I still struggle with that crap. It annoys me to no freaking end, but I still struggle with it. Like, cuz you can't control what happens with other people's shit. You can't control what happens at work when things go wrong. You can't control how your kids act cuz they're freaking heathens and they freaking, want to wreck shit just cuz they thought it was funny. You know, you, you can't control any of that. Um but what you can control is how you react to it. And you know, the 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 better you get at controlling yourself when things are out of control, the more peace you will find. At least from my experience, the more you control yourself when things are out of control, the more peace you will find. And which, weirdly enough, I don't know, it's almost a way of like finding control there too. But you know what I mean? Because honestly, life's gonna kick you in the ass. It's just gonna happen, And it, does it? And again, yeah, does it suck? Yeah, of course. But I mean, life is also this beautiful, chaotic, freaking wonderful, freaking shitty mess that we just got to get through. We just got to get through life together, and yeah. Um, I don't know. I feel like that article kind of said a lot of what I just said, but in a
No,
very
it did.
different,
You're
a
you're
very controlled, more kind of like manner. I kind of just like ADHD, but you know.
nothing wrong with that, dude. No, I mean you did mirror a lot of the points in there. You just kind of gave it a little bit more interpretation from your own point of view,
Yeah.
which I get. You know, yeah. I mean, one of the biggest, like you talked about earlier, like getting kicked in the nuts. It's like one of the things they do when you're going to the military is they build you up as an individual and as a member of the team. So like you're pretty much told from a young age, hey, guess what? You're hot shit. You're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hooah.
Anyway,
And then you get out and it's like, huh? Hua goes to huh real quick,
it does.
and it's like,
It's either that or
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like like when I went to apply to be a sheriff's deputy, and they're like, "Oh, you have to have 3 years active duty. Your time in the National Guard just doesn't count." And it's like civilian world's big weenie just went
Yeah.
smacked me right across the damn head. It's like that
And,
sucked.
and I get that feeling too, because it's like it it's like, you know, they take your paperwork and it's like they say to you, like, it's like, okay, so you see all this here, right? And all these things that you say you did here, right? Like, well, here to us that means you ain't shit. So um get to the point where this says you are, and we'll talk. It's
Well,
kind of like the gist of how they freaking go about it, and it's
you hit
kind
the
of
nail on the fucking head there, dude.
it's kind of
No, but
shitty, dude.
there's that, and there's also the fact too of like you have that coupled with like just the society we live in nowadays, where we can sit here and we can BS with other people in the know. Like the saying says, if you know, you know. Like I can talk to you, I can talk to Brian, I can talk to another veteran because they get it, they understand, they've probably been through
Yeah,
something similar, and that's the resiliency of the veteran culture. Is that like you could have four different people that served in four different branches in four different parts of the world. You have a Navy guy who is out of Pearl Harbor. You could have an
yeah.
Air Force guy who is in Diego Garcia. You could have a damn Marine who's in Iwakuni, Japan, and an Army guy in Fort Riley, Kansas,
Or Grenada.
or Grenada. You got four completely different things going on there. But there's going to be some kind of commonality of, embracing the suck, dealing with what's got to be dealt with, and just having similar life experiences altogether. And I think that's
Yeah.
why, like, that's what kind of fascinates me about, like, like social clubs or something like that, like Jeep culture. Jeep culture just comes from all over, and I just say that because I've kind of I've kind of been to a few of those things with a friend of mine, not being a part of it myself, just kind of experiencing it secondhand. But like it's so cool because you got people from all over, and it's just so welcoming, and it's like 99% of the time it's like, this is cool, we got this, we got that going on. Why did that just change color again? That's really ridiculous. Now it looks blue on my end. Whatever. I don't care.
You
I'm
still
gonna
look
chill.
white.
I'm still. No, that's always going to be the case, sir, guy. Duh. Blonde, blue-eyed gringo. But anyway,
Yeah.
freaking
I was gonna do something, but then I was like, nah, the YouTube
shut the
algorithm will
hell up.
probably shut us down.
Just shut up. That's what you can do. But yeah, I mean, and it's very inviting. You can talk amongst other people and you kind of exchange ideas, and a lot of these guys, from what I understand, they kind of got started with military folks because they drove Willie Jeeps in World War II back in the day, so that they came
Yeah.
home and that
The
kind of
kind of
became
Jeeps that
popular.
like maxed out at like 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, but them things were tough. All right, those guys,
Yeah.
they came in a crate. You could put it together on your own,
Yeah.
and you'd be driving it in no time. Like they
Yeah.
were pretty
They were
bad.
meant for like torque though. Like they weren't like, I mean,
Low
yeah,
end
well, they
torque,
were
yeah.
meant for speed on the battlefield, but they were
Three
meant for
speed. They only
torque
had like
so
a
that they could,
three-speed transmission, man. That's
yeah,
it.
so that they can freaking drag shit on the freaking battlefield, man, and
Yep.
drag shit from one place to the next with semi good speed.
But
Again,
you have like the
maxing out
Jeep
at 40 miles an
culture.
hour.
True, but that back then that was fast. So you
Yeah.
have like the Jeep culture. You've also got like the biker culture and stuff. It kind of gives you that. It kind of helps to fight off that sense of belonging. A lot of guys that get into law enforcement. Speaking to you as well here, it's like a lot. I would say a pretty decent majority come from military backgrounds because of that sense
Maybe it's a
of
majority.
teamwork, that sense of belonging, and kind of like just that culture of that lifestyle kind of thing, the regimentation, so to speak.
Hey,
Now, I want to shift a little bit here. So we kind of covered that a little bit. So, what happens when we're looking for peace and it's not exactly we can't find it? What if we're finding substitute forms of peace? Okay.
Mm,
So what gives you peace is being around the guys or having the adrenaline rush or what like that. So you go looking for something to fill in that gap.
yeah.
And what I mean is like substance abuse and being
Yep.
addicted to drugs or alcohol or
Hmm.
other various things, whatnot. We have to be very, very, very careful because
Hey. Yeah.
that's not the kind of peace you want to look for. I mean, it can, you may think it is, and next thing you know, it's just like leaving you down a bad, 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 bad road.
I
So it's just like,
I was a culprit of it, man. I was an absolute culprit of it. That um, if for me, the vice ended up being woo. For me,
I'm fixing it. Just hush.
sorry, I had to. I
I
just
know.
saw I saw
Squirrel brain.
flashing. I saw flashing red and blue, and I'm like, woo,
Cheese
woo.
and berries, huh?
um, no, but
What
like
are those guys? I'm gonna have my ADH brain, right? The feeling ADH brain. Those
alcohol ended
no,
up
no, no.
being
The guys that the woo woo guys are like wee woo wee
oh
woo. They stand in the front yard and they call the cops or something like that. Like here come the wee woos.
yep. It's a
Anyway,
great video. It's hilarious.
alcohol.
Um, but yeah, I mean, you were there for a good portion of that, like in the early days when I first came back. Honestly, guys, gals, I mean, I was killing an 18 pack like within a day and a half. I mean, it just was what it was. I was just blah 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 blah. Freaking, especially if I had days off, it was a full on freaking drink fest. I was, and of course, back then I was, I didn't have kids. I was fresh out of the army, freaking, and you know, um, essentially finding peace to me meant looking at the bottom of a bottle.
Yeah.
Because there's, I miss the guys. That's I think usually for a lot of the guys, if not most of the guys and gals, um, that's really what it comes down to. Is you miss the camaraderie. You miss your crew,
Yeah.
and you know life ends up being harder without them because you don't have somebody on that level on that same level as you that you can relate with.
Yeah.
And you know you turn to the very thing that you know you guys did on the weekends together, I guess, to kind of get that rush back, or to kind of get that uh get
Familiarity.
that feeling back of like, okay, this is, this feels good. This is what, I'm back with the guys. You know what I mean?
And not knowing myself, I would venture to say it kind of, in a way, can turn on itself because you're sitting there drinking. You're like, I'm drinking by myself. The guys aren't
Yep.
here. I want to numb the alone, the feeling of being alone, or the feeling of
Yep.
not having the guys around. So you drink more, and it
Yep.
just spirals all down and all that kind of shit. So
Yep. And then again, like I said, you find yourself once again, you find yourself in a hole.
yeah.
Um, so back to Mac's point, like, how do you fix that? How do you get yourself out of that? Well, I mean, it's gonna be kind of cliche, and like we say all the time, just get help, you know.
Well, just don't
And
feel like there isn't help for you. There's help. It
exactly,
finding. I mean, so let's kind of pivot a little bit to the side here again. Finding peace. I mean, we were talking about false forms and like substitute forms of peace. That's what we call it. That's what I wrote in here. Synthetic peace.
Yeah.
Finding something that kind of gives you that warm fuzzy feeling, even if for a little bit, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
Finding something like, I was hanging out uh, with Brian the other day, and we went to see a friend of ours out in Lakeland, and like, neither one of those guys drink anymore, and we were kind of talking about some stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's like, we used to put away some booze and liquor back in the day, and those guys have, just through them maturing and getting older, they've just realized, they're like, can't do that kind of stuff. It's just,
Yeah.
I got things that are preventing me from doing that, and just are going to be bad for me to do, and this, that, and the other. So, um, but yeah, I mean, what I'll also ask this question, and this is just kind of there's no right or wrong answer to this, but what does peace look like? I would say, like a good example that's right in front of me is this guy, his wife, and his kids, like seeing the whole family thing together, that dynamic, like that, I can see where that would be a lot of peace and tranquility. I mean, it's like anybody else, it's hard, you know, because you're going to have disagreements and where you have a difference of
Hmm.
opinion, or I'm doing this, conflicting schedules, this, that,
Family life has
the
brings along with
whole
it a whole
fucking
chaos,
shebang, man. Exactly.
but
That familial chaos.
but there is
But
peace
at
in
this,
that.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like, I'm very, I see that and I recognize it. Like, that's a good thing, like people do better as, when they're part of a group, whether it's the military, whether it's, with another person, significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the hell you want to call it. And that's why, like, it hurts so much when, like, you have military guys, thinking part of, the thought process for this subject was thinking about like guys and gals that, it just seems like we're at a lot higher, not a risk, but just a lot, unfortunately, statistically more, um, what the hell's the word I'm looking for?
Predisposed.
Thank you. Nailed it. Statistically predisposed to be more likely to get divorced for
Yeah.
the military culture. And it's like that, it's an upheaval. I mean, you go from having, I remember being a basic, one of our drill sergeants that was at our battalion got divorced, and he had a couple of privates that were on detail with him that were helping him move his shit back into the barracks at the battalion because now he was a bachelor. It's like, that's gotta suck. That's like, Jesus. So,
Yeah.
but so what does peace look like? For me personally, peace for me is like, it can be a lot of different things. It's spending time with my daughter, especially now that she's at the age where she's a lot more aware of the world around her. Um, she sees everything with eyes wide open, no blinders, no filters, none of that kind of junk. Um, so like we can have some really good discussions, and like it's really awesome to hang out with her. She gives me a lot of peace. It's like if I can say I've done anything successfully in this life, it's preparing her to take her place in the world as we know it. And it's like, it's awesome. Like I can have a lot of other labels or titles and stuff like that. To me is so crucially important. Um,
Yeah.
but other forms of peace, like sometimes short-term peace, like long-term peace, like in the, like, for like a short-term kind of thing, like just getting in the car and going for a short drive somewhere. A lot of times, if I just want to, like clear my head, that gives me a little bit of peace and tranquility, like peace of mind, some calm, that kind of stuff. Um, I love camping in my backyard. Um, I bought a really awesome, like, one person tent, um, and I'll just go in my backyard and I'll camp out that way, which is great. You can hear the crickets and the bugs, and usually some vagrant people out here wandering this area screaming at whatever the fuck,
Trees.
trees, cars, nonsense,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah,
I mean, you haven't. Did you ever see Captain Crack Sparrow out by your house at all? Yeah.
I think you've told me about that once.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a video that you showed me, like on YouTube or something, YouTube or Facebook or something? The guy was dressed up like Jack Sparrow, and he's just all whacked out of his head.
He was. He was on meth. Um.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So things
'Cause-
like that. I'll tell you, man. What was a lot of fun is when Cora and I we did the whole painting thing
Mhm.
that you guys had set up. We did it remotely and stuff. But yeah, that was a blast. We had fun. Like I still look at that garden. I'm like, that thing is so dumb looking. It is so ridiculous. Whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, what does peace look like for you, man? I'm sure peace is like being in your backyard grilling on that fantastic grill of yours. God,
Yeah.
dude,
It
that
was
first night
fantastic.
you busted that thing out, and we had like the onions and the pepper. Oh,
Fan bloody tastic.
listen,
Um.
summer's coming up. That thing's gonna come in clutch.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's do it.
um.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, for me, peace is I- as crazy as it's gonna sound coming from me because I'm such a techie gadgety fucking you know nerd,
A techie geek.
dude. Being out in nature is my fucking thing, man.
Yeah.
Um, nothing beats it. Like I've and it's it's interesting for me because I'm so used to using things like video games and things like that to calm me down and kind of relying on my wife to kind of be like that anchor person, right? um but nothing beats when I go you know into say like go on a trail and get just get my walk on and just enjoy my surroundings, man. Like just looking at God's creation and saying like wow, and just stopping and listening, like no podcasts in the ears, no
Yeah.
noise, no nothing, just
Unplugging.
just me and the chirping birds and the bugs flying by, even though the bugs are annoying, but still.
There we go. Sound like
Like,
it is there, my guy.
yeah, like I mean, like I'm not scared of them. I just freaking get the hell out of my ear. Um,
Mosquitoes are God's creatures too. You're just bottom at the list. Dang.
mm, yeah,
Oh, look. Got it.
it's okay. I swat the skeeters. So,
Yeah.
um, but especially on the beach, man. You know, waiting for everybody to be off the sand, and most people are gone home or whatever, and just kicking my shoes off, getting my feet buried into digging my toes into the sand, and just walking.
Yeah.
Dude, that by far, you know, and then just looking out on the water and just either watching the sun rise or watching the sun set is so serene.
Yeah.
Just listening to the waves rolling in.
So the last time
Amazing.
that I went to the beach, it was probably a little while ago. It was probably like maybe like a month or so ago. It was myself, my daughter, and then Brian and his two girls. So he doesn't go. He likes to go like in the evening time. So it's getting cooler. People are leaving, that kind of stuff. And the day we went, it was like gorgeous. It was kind of overcast a little bit. It was
Gorgeous.
cloudy. It was cloudy, but there was still some sun. And like, we just sat there and the girls were out in the water, splashing around, that kind of stuff. I jumped in for a little while. It had been a minute since I had been to the beach and kind of gotten in there and stuff. But
Dip
like,
your toesies. Dip your
oh,
toesies in the water.
I was all the way in there, man.
That's
But yeah,
what's up.
I'm like, and I like the beach, but at the same time, it's kind of like, because it's whenever I go, it's hot as shit. With my complexion, I just turn into a potato chip. I just crisp. It's terrible.
Oh no, no, my friend. You don't turn into a potato chip. You turn into a beet.
For those of you that aren't watching this or listening to this program, I just gave him the middle finger salute. So there you go. But yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
there's been
That's
a once or twice in the past where like going to the beach at night and just hearing the waves crash and it's cooler. Like I remember the one time, I think the one time I went, it was like maybe early to mid fall. So like I had on like a hoodie and just like some lightweight pants and stuff that I rolled up at the bottom and just got out and walked on the beach and just heard the waves crash and you feel the chill in the air. Man, that was fan fucking tastic. It was great. Um, Also, when Cora and I went up to see our good friend Jose, so right there where he lives,
Josie.
there's a mountain. Like you can see it from his deck, from his back deck. There's just a huge mountain. I think it's called Iron
Oh,
Mountain or
dude, the
some Iron
mountains.
Hill. Oh,
Freaking love the mountains.
it's like it takes probably 20 minutes to drive there because you got to drive through town and like up to the parking area and stuff. But like you can see just everywhere. It is
Yeah.
fantastic up there. I freaking love it.
And you mentioned mountains, man. You remember I went up. I remember I went up Camelback Mountain in Arizona,
Yeah.
and being able to see north, south, east, west, just every direction in the valley. And of course, for the time until I received the phone call that my wife had had a heat stroke and went into a panic for a temporary for a
Serene.
temporary time
Serene.
for a tempor- for a temporary time it was, and even in the freaking blistering heat, because
Yeah.
honestly, someone is pulled off of that mountain, I think they said every month during the summer. Every month
It's hot.
during the
Plus
summer.
you're at higher elevation, so the air is thinner. Makes sense.
And the heat just kills people, man.
Yeah.
Like I am like
Is it a dry heat though?
it is a dry heat, man.
I prefer
You're
that.
talking about deep in the valley.
Yeah.
You're talking about deep in the valley, dude. Like the
The
I
as in Death Valley?
we're talking about Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. Yo.
Yeah.
The the fact that I did not and because remember, bear in mind when I found this out, I did not walk back down the mountain. I walked down the spots where it was necessary so that I didn't fall my ass off of a cliffside.
Uh-huh.
But I ran back down that mountain
To
to
get to your
get
wife.
to my wife. One lady, as I was coming back down the trail after getting to the point where you know I was getting way closer because I was hauling ass. I was hauling ass, and she go like you see the lady, and mind you, I had seen this lady coming back down as I think I had gotten halfway up, and she goes, "Really? You're running?" And I was just like, "Yeah, yeah."
You would be too if you understood.
Basically, I didn't get a chance to say that, but basically, yeah, you would too if you knew what was going on.
Did you get up in the mountains when you were up in Washington State?
We climbed Mount Rainier, yeah, not like climbed, but like we went up a good trail, and we went up the mountain to one of the glaciers that back then was still there. If it's whether it's still there now to this day, I have no idea. I
Because
because it's been years.
I remember somebody else that I was in the army with. He was up there at Second Ranger Battalion, and
Mount Rainier is gorgeous,
he was talking about like it was
gorgeous.
great because when you get up above the cloud level, like you're out there snowboarding and you're in a freaking t-shirt because it's not really cold. You're in direct sunlight, so it's like
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, makes sense.
That sounds great. I want that's
I
fantastic.
mean, like, because you bear in mind when we went up that mountain. I mean, it was yeah, it was springtime. It was springtime, so I mean, it's not like it was hot. Um, but at the same time, it wasn't cold either. Like it wasn't like it was. I would say probably within the 60s to like maybe low 70s, like is the max that it got. But as we got up the mountain, obviously,
The thing
you
that
know,
just
it
the
got
thing
cooler.
the thing that just bums me though is like all the rain.
Washington State is notorious for it. Yes,
I think they
unfortunately.
said on average 300 days out of the year you're having some form of rain or precipitation. It's just like
Yeah. I mean, during the summer, you may have a little bit less. Yeah, yeah. I mean, from what I remember, yeah, we got a lot, not a lot less, but we did get a little bit. We did get a little bit less rain, um, during that time of year. But I mean, it still rained, but we just got less of it. Because summertime, and at that point, we are able to turn on the fans inside the rooms because it got a little bit warmer than you would want. You know,
right.
because the, the barracks didn't have AC. Go figure. It had radiators, but we didn't have no damn AC.
So
So
like it would give off heat in the winter, but you didn't have AC in the summer.
nope, not at all.
Garbage.
It was the same thing in Germany. In Germany, we had radiators in that
You kind of
motherfucker.
it's probably a little like if you had to pick between the two, you probably would want heat in the winter over the other way around.
Yep.
It's like
I had fans in Germany for when it was nice and warm, and I put that shit on me. Like if I slept in my freaking PT shorts, or my
yeah.
underwear, I didn't give a shit. Fuck it. Yeah. And then you know, during the winter, you know,
Did you have one person rooms over there, or were they like you had like two guys who were room?
before we came back from Iraq, it was two person per room.
Gotcha.
But once we got back from Iraq, like the guys that were in rear detachment, like, dude, it sucked. Like it went from two-person room to like the between 2 to 3 person room. It sucked pretty big ball shack. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
yeah. But we managed.
Yeah, that's what makes us resilient, man. You just got to make do with all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is, what it is, kind of stuff.
Tis what it is.
Right. So, no, I get that, man. What about using like you know what kind of like do you listen to music to give yourself some peace? I am a very big fan and advocate of Spotify. I have
Hmm.
tried other services like Pandora, and they're just not my favorite,
Yeah.
to be fair, because they just kind of like they get a little bit weird. It's like you like Tito Puente, here's some Britney Spears. Like,
How are those two
huh?
related?
What?
That makes no sense.
You're in the Air Force. You must like crayons. No, that's not.
Thinking wrong branch.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I like Spotify, and a lot of times you'll find like they'll suggest certain playlists and stuff for you. And I
Yeah.
found one. It's
Yeah,
called
their
Peaceful.
suggestions are far more, on the nose. It's just like, oh yeah, you like this guy. Hey, how about this? And it's like,
And I
I
was
do like that.
I was looking
Follow.
around, and I found either I found or it suggested this playlist called Peaceful Meditations, and it's probably close to like 100 tracks, and the
Really?
songs.
Ah, I follow that. I think
Oh
actually,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah. I
and
do follow it
you can
on that
just
thing.
put it on, and like it'll just help you with some like mindfulness. You can just sit there
Yep.
and just breathe in real good through your
Mhm.
nose, breathe out through your mouth. Just listen to it, and it's just like, oh, like yeah.
I find I tend to listen to classical when
To what?
to classical when I really want
Okay.
to calm down. Um,
Dude, I'm you're probably looking right at my big ass nugget on the screen, and I'm trying to stifle these yawns. I'm just like, like sucking wind over here like a banshee. It's just terrible.
there's
I'm so damn tired. Oh my god. Continue. See now you're like
yeah, it's trying to stifle it. Yeah. See, there's just something about those
my
notes.
bad, bro.
No, you're good. There's just something about the notes in how they play that just
In classical?
in classical, yeah. That it's like I don't know, man. It's almost like it equalizes the brain waves,
Oh
and
yeah. They've done studies where they had people take tests listening to classical music and they scored better. It promotes like cognitive thinking or like memory
yeah,
recall, all this other stuff. Helps you focus. Funny enough.
hmm
So I believe it.
yeah. So yeah, classical tends to be what I go for the most. If I want to sleep, rain sounds. I kick on the rain sounds, and then I'm off to the races, or more like off to the.
Rain sounds make me have to get up and pee. And I'm already doing that like 2 and 3. No. Don't do it. No. I don't need you to say anything. I know. I'm in my 40s now. I get it. You will be soon. You'll understand. It's like I don't sleep through the
It's
night. I
like your bladder. This is your bladder. This. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna go
I hate you sometimes.
there.
And those are days that end in a Y.
This
Anyway,
is a
but
normal bladder, but this is your bladder.
and you got me with the butthole. Fantastic. That's great.
I knew I would. Ah. Yeah. This is why we do these. This
This
is
is
why we do
why
this,
we
folks.
do this. No, but I think another thing too that brings me peace is just being around, like being around guys that have a lot in common, or being around people that have a lot in common with,
Yeah.
like yourself, like Brian, like our friend Robert, um, guys that I served with that I get along with and have good connections with still, like my good friend Darvin, even though he's up in Ohio, like we I still being around those dudes, man, it's like such an endorphin boost, man. Like you feel good about it because you genuinely care about these guys. You were talking about earlier, you don't have those guys around anymore, but
Yeah.
you're like it's like a second family. And for some guys, it is their family because they don't come from the best situations. So like these guys
Mhm.
become their family, and it might be something that they've been looking for, or it just kind of happened naturally. But like it brings me peace knowing that those guys are doing good or they're doing well, they're thriving,
Yeah.
they're going out there and just taking the world by the fucking nuts and just going, I got this, you know?
Take it by the balls.
Take it by the gonads and just say, I am not gonna let you not be my little bitch today. Okay?
I would say, take it by the taters. Mm-hmm.
And our show has
I'll get those
devolved
people.
into imitation and impression hour
Mm-hmm.
with Big Chin over there.
You got any French fry potatoes in there?
No, and I resent that because just because I'm Irish, you asshole.
You got any biscuits in there? I like them. I like.
I'm not gonna lie, I do like me some biscuits, and you got to say better at being a character. Come on, man. Jesus, you just get to a point where you look at me, and you do that.
You got any
And-
French fry potatoes in there? I like them French fry potatoes. There's these two fellers standing on the bridge going to the bathroom. One feller said the water was cold. The other feller said the water was deep. I reckon the other feller was from Arkansas. Get it?
I know that's Billy Bob Thornton. I've never seen that movie. And there's that look. That brings me. You're just like, the fuck you mean you ain't seen that movie, man?
I have seen that movie.
I know you have. If you can quote from it, you're just like,
dude, that's the most. Oh Jesus! Oh,
Dude.
you have to watch that movie.
yeah.
You have to watch that movie.
I'll add it to the list.
I don't care how but you have to watch it. And this is
Let's get back to our
the
discussion.
best friend direct order. You must watch this movie within the time frame that we're gonna see each other. Who?
Fuck out of here! All right, get your fuck out of here. Another thing that brings me a lot of peace is just like when I'm trying to just distract myself is getting online and just watching like stuff that's genuinely funny. Like
Yes.
I'll watch like with my daughter. I try not to give her a hard time. She watches shorts and it's usually stuff that I'm just like, I don't get it. It's like makeup tutorials or it's like weird things or like all this crazy stuff that she watches. I'm just like, but like stuff that I watch, like shorts, is like funny stuff, like talks about movies or this, that, and the other. Or like I was watching it was a short and it was like a clip from Whose Lines It Anyway. I fucking love that show. Like just I wish I could go on there and just be able to do that at that kind of level of those guys. I mean, they're just so damn good.
I think it was better when Drew Carey was hosting it, though. Weirdly enough, I don't know why.
I'm going to respectfully disagree because of this reason. It's not so much that it was Drew Carey; it's the fact that now these guys are a lot older and they give no fucks. So, like a lot of these clips that they do, they'll cuss. It'll get a little bit. There's like darker humor or like a little bit more mature adult humor stuff. It's funny as fuck. Like the stuff back in the day with Drew Carey was good.
Colin Muckery.
And it was awesome. But nowadays it's like they're really pushing the boundary. And
are all of them still on the show? Is it still Colin Muckery?
It's still Colin Muckery. It's still Ryan Stiles. Most times it's Wayne Brady. Sometimes he's out on there and it might have to substitute two people. Like there was one where it was
but the main three are still like the
Ryan, Colin, and
Wayne.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Aisha Tyler jumps in there too, and she's got no qualms about taking part in stuff. It's
Aisha Tyler? Why am I having a brain fart on who that is?
She's the host.
Is she really?
She took over when it started back up after Drew. Whoa. She's the host, and it's actually I think it's pretty good. Like, they make fun of her about it. She's like, I'm Aisha Tyler. What the fuck am I doing here? I had a career. Oh. Oh man, it's so good. So good. But yeah, that kind of stuff brings me some peace. Just because,
Yeah,
like, especially like, after a long day, man, I just want to watch. I don't want to think. I don't want to engage my brain. I just watch something that I can just enjoy and that kind of shit. But I I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have peace or don't have a means to find it.
yeah,
I would tell you, if you're one of those people, don't give up hope. Keep finding it. Keep looking for it.
yeah.
Um, there's something out there that's going to bring you some type of tranquility, calm,
There's
peace.
always something. There's always
Some
something.
people find it in religion, in the Bible. Some people find it in, music, losing themselves in movies, a good book, whatever it is that kind of gives you some peace of mind, man. Go out and find that stuff. Like, life is short. We deserve to be happy. And this is, again, this is kind of correlating with the fact that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. That, and I saw a really great shirt that said, self care is not selfish. And it's like,
Correct.
man, that's huge. So
And
let's,
there's a
I,
there's a little bit of a science behind that. It comes down to if it comes down to one very basic fact. Like when you're able to graciously take care of yourself and do the little things for yourself, whether it's, something as simple as, saying, hey man, you freaking rock today, or just, going out and doing, exercise and doing little things like to get yourself perked back up. You're able to take care of the others, and if, in many cases, your family, your wife, your kids, your husbands, or whatever, you know what I mean? You're able to take care of them far better because you've done yourself a service before you've gone to them. Um, there's nothing wrong with doing unto yourself first to take care of others.
I had that same conversation with my daughter a while back. I'm like, I understand, she's very giving of her time and just being there to listen to somebody if they're going through something. I said, that's fantastic, sweetie. However, you need to make sure that you take care of yourself first, so that way you have
Yeah,
something to give to everybody else. If they
yeah,
just keep taking, who's filling that reservoir back up?
exactly.
So
Yeah. Very important thing, guys and gals. Freaking if you empty yourself out and don't find a way to refill, who else are you gonna fill up?
you're
You know?
filling everybody else's emotional, spiritual bucket. Who's filling yours?
Your cup is empty. Yeah, just
The
saying.
timing of that was just spot on, my dude. Spot on. Well, my dude, you ready to wrap this up?
Freaking Huey.
So, again, everybody, thank you so much for being part of our conversation. Hopefully, this was able to kind of give you some thought provoking discussion, either inside of your own head or for some to have with another person. Um, we're not trying to single anybody out, just kind of
Correct.
content that for the veteran community, first responder community, all that good stuff, but for anybody that'll listen. So it's very important that we take care of ourselves, especially in this day
Correct.
and age we live in. Um so for the final time, we're gonna close this out for this
It's
season.
important for you, one would say, to bring peace to yourself so that you may bring peace to others.
Alamo, the grand poobah of spirituality. Yeah. So as I was saying, um, so Alamo and I started this show um out of a sense of tragedy. Um, we learned of the passing of a friend of ours, a guy that we worked with for a little bit of time. John had unfortunately given in and solved a temporary problem with a permanent solution. So at that point in time, Alamo and I were working together, working at a retail facility. retail location in Tampa. John was one of our coworkers, and he was just a funny ass dude. Great guy to work with. Would have given you the shirt off his back. Just made work so much fun. You know, he had your back. He worked hard and just was a solid dude. And we all kind of left there on our own time frames, and kind of fell out of touch with John. And then Alamo and I were working together. He asked me to come to be a part of an event for his wife's channel, Flipside Mentorship, which I was absolutely thrilled to be a part of. It ended up being fantastic. And that kind of caught the bug of, hey, like, let's do something together. So it's like, what you have in mind? So we talked about doing a podcast, and I was a little bit apprehensive. I'm like, dude, I don't know shit about a podcast. And he looks at me, he's like, bro, they put a monkey in outer space. I'm like, okay, yeah, that fits. Good with that. Yeah, good with that. So we discussed it, and then during that time, we found out about John's passing. I reached out to Alamo. I was like, did you hear about John? And he was like, no, I got to reach out to him. His birthday's coming up. I said, you can't because he's gone. And then I told him, I said, you know, that podcast you were talking about, I said, I'm all in. That was my catalyst moment, so to speak. So we talked about what we were going to, what it was going to be about, what we were going to discuss. And, we wanted to pay tribute and homage to our friend John because he was a Marine Corps veteran and he was also just a stand-up kind of guy. So that's where this come from. So we settled on the name Battle Bros. And then we started talking about what our brand and our legacy is going to be, and this and the other. So we came up with the Bros Code. And what the Bros Code is 4 easy tenets to remember when things start getting hard, difficult, and all that kind of shit. So if you can remember these 4 easy things, you're going to have a pretty good chance of, kind of getting yourself in the right direction. It may not be perfect from day one, but it's at least it's a step in the right direction. So the first letter is B. Be tenacious. No matter what life throws your way, go out and do it with gusto and do it with the utmost and the fullest of your abilities and capabilities. Whether that's being a parent, whether it's being a teacher, a friend, a confidant, a trash man, whatever line of work you're into, go out there and just leave it out there on the field so that way you can go home and say, I gave it everything I had, I did a good job, and I can go to sleep with a clear conscience tonight. So in the words of the great and noble Ron Swanson, just remember, don't half-ass 2 things, whole ass 1 thing. Be tenacious. R, refuse to surrender. In the path of life, we're going to come up with different things that happen. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get, you're going to have the real life version of go straight to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. It happens. We've all been there. That's fine. What makes you overcome that is refusing to surrender. Okay, if you get knocked back, if you get knocked down in the dirt, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, look at your compass, orient to the right direction, take off. All good.
Shoot azimuth.
Shoot azimuth and move out. Okay, refuse to surrender. Oh, obliterate your obstacles. Kind of going along with that, when obstacles come up, understand that you may have to work a little bit harder to get where you're going. You may have to climb over a wall, dig under a wall, dig through a river. You may have to go and you're traveling down a mountain path. You may have to get off the path and kind of break brush for about, 100 or so meters or a quarter mile, whatever, before you can get back on the main path. That's all good and dandy. It's all fine. Sometimes you have to, clear a wall with some C4 and det cord, Bangalores, and other things.
Bangalore.
Other means of getting it through. Sometimes, hey, you never know. You might just have to drive a vehicle through it, breach it. Okay, whatever works. It's all good. Mm-hmm. Just remember, no matter what, obliterate your obstacles. Once you do that, you get yourself on the right path. Keep moving towards the X so you can hit the OBJ. Okay. Lastly, S, seek out help in a time of need. as you mentioned earlier, we fell out of touch with John, and that's unfortunate because he was a guy that deserves to still be here. He deserves to have his story being told. Um, by design, we are not meant to go through things alone. We are social creatures, much like primates or orangutan, monkeys, chimpanzees, whatever. We do better in social settings. Okay. If you ever feel like you're going down that path of no return where you're going to solve a temporary problem with a permanent solution, stop, admin, halt, take a knee, and freaking get some help. And that can come in a lot of different shapes and forms. It might be a family member, it might be a loved one, it might be a coworker, a friend, somebody. For us military folks, it might be somebody you served with that was in the military. Your long lost squad mate or platoon buddy or whatnot. Reach out to them, okay? Because they're going to have a good understanding of what you might be going through, okay? If you ever feel like you're going to harm yourself, get help immediately. And that can come in the form of the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can call them at 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. 800-273-TALK. TALK. Tango, Alpha, Lima, Kilo. Okay. You can also reach them by dialing 988. Again, that is 988. Once you get on there with an operator, you're going to press 1 so you can talk to somebody immediately. They have people there available 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that way they can talk to you and help you through what you're going through so you can stay here and stay in the fight of life. Okay. Don't ever feel like you have to go through things alone. There are resources out there. You just have to look for them and then utilize them to the best of your ability. Okay. So if you can remember those 4 things, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in a time of need, you got a pretty good chance of making it and getting yourself started off in the right direction. It may not be perfect. It may not be, rainbows and, unicorns the first day, but it'll get there eventually. It's a step in the right direction. It's a positive direction. So it's a start. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to hand it off to my co-host here. He's going to talk about all the social media stuff, and then we'll wrap it up for the last time for the season, and we'll be out of here. So take it away, guy.
If you'd like to catch up with us on the social medias, we have multiple places you can do that. Which number 1, you could go to facebook.com/battlebros.podcast. You can go to Meta's other platform, which is at, the Instagram, which is at battlebros_podcast. And if, you want to go where the plebs are, you could always go to, I couldn't hold it.
You're right there, bud.
I don't know where that came from. You go if you want to go. You could go over to X, formerly Twitter, at Battle Bros PC, and you can instant message us on each one of those platforms and leave us messages there. Admittedly, I have not checked the X in a while because we don't get as much traffic, but I will begin to start checking it again, especially now that I'm going to be uploading episodes again. I feel like I'm going to have a little bit more time now to actually get that done. But also, if you like catching us on other platforms, you can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, I believe Apple Podcast as well, and many, many others. We are on multiple audio platforms, as well as another video platform known as Rumble. Soon episodes will be following suit on Rumble as well. I'll be updating our backlog onto the Rumble, and you'll be able to see all of our episodes right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got some catching up to do. The
Pretty
last one,
backlogged. Pretty
the
backlogged.
last episode that we have on Spotify is 97.
Ooh,
Yeah, so we'll get those caught up.
that's pretty bad. Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah, I'll get them caught up. I'll get them caught up. But as that stands, you could go ahead and catch up with us there. Um and if you guys ever feel like you have to privately message us, like for example, if you have somebody that's a friend of yours, family member, whatever, um, or yourself specifically, and you want to send a message to us and be like, "Hey guys, I'm not doing too good. What do you guys think?" Or "Hey guys, I got a friend of mine, family member, whatever. They're not doing too good. What do you think?" You can drop us a message privately at battlebrospc@gmail.com. That is battlebrospc@gmail.com, where you can leave us a private message and we will get back to you within a 24-hour period. We want to make sure that we talk to you guys and, offer what, advice we have that hopefully can help you or whoever else may be able to listen. Um, try to give them that little extra shot in the arm to kind of give them that little motivation to kind of stick around and, you know, not take an easy step to solve you know, an issue that could be better solved with them being here. Um, so yeah, just give us that opportunity to talk to you and talk to whoever, you want to, basically whoever you want to help out, and we will definitely be there. While we're still on the subject of those that are not here, um, we're a bit behind on this episode. We were supposed to originally do it last week. Things fell through. I ended up having to go out of state. So, um, while we're on that subject, um, to the fallen, um, this right here is for you guys. All right. May all of you rest in peace, and may our great creator carry you in his arms. Salud. Wow. That tastes like caramel.
what's it called?
Holy crap. Um, that is delicious. Okay, not a sponsor, guys, but damn.
What is that called?
Bamboo.
Bamboo. Interesting.
Bamboo. Um, was not expecting that. Holy crap. Anyway, swear guys, those alky days are behind me. I do still occasionally like my adult beverages. Um but yeah. Um it's very important that when you guys think about Memorial Day, I know for those of you who have served the military and those of you who are probably military families, um, you know this tradition very well. You know it is a time to remember those that have did not have the grace to come back. Um, I would encourage you all to respectfully and graciously give these people some grace. Um, Respectfully and graciously, um, explain to others that when they say Happy Memorial Day, that they understand what it's really about. Um, let's not be um, the a-hole veteran who goes, "Shut your fucking mouth." No, just as I like to say it to folks, I say this is a day to remember the fallen, but I thank you for appreciating what we've done.
Yeah, I say something like thanks, but it's not about me. It's about the fallen and those that gave up the ultimate
Who
sacrifice
gave up the
kind
ultimate
of thing.
sacrifice? Yeah.
If you wanna say thank you for your service, November 11th, come find me, buy me a beer.
Heck yeah.
Good. So
Or a shot of this, because good God. Wow, that was so smooth.
yeah,
But
Bumbu.
bamboo.
Okay,
Um,
so check it out.
but yeah. So I know again, we're a week behind on the Memorial Day thing, but um, it's one of those days that's like very important to us. We just want to let people know, like, hey, just remember, it's not about us, the ones who survived. We have a day for that. It's about those who didn't come home and are home with the great creator. So um just do them a favor and have a beer for them, have a shot for them, um and lift up their names and say thank you. That's all we can really do. And if you do that, every single one of us who are still here today are going to appreciate it even more. I got nothing else other than that.
That was well put, man. Thanks for saying that. Again, everybody, thank you so much for being part of this journey with us. We draw season 5 to a close tonight. We will be spending some time away from the show. Not sure how long that is, but we're going to take some time over the summer, spend time with our families, our kids, and just kind of recharge our batteries a little bit so we can keep coming back and doing the show um, as long as we possibly can. So
Hell yeah.
um, we're going to hopefully try to post a little bit more content or something on Facebook, just kind of keeping an ear for it. Um, but again, we will be taking a little bit of a break. So if you don't hear from us for a while, that's okay. But thank you again for tuning in to tonight's show, episode 110, entitled Peace. This is the season 5 finale of the Battle Bros podcast. Thank you so much if you've been with us from the beginning or, even after that. This podcast is not possible without the viewers listening and or watching and consuming our content on their own right. So thank you for being part of that. Just remember, sometimes this message is not always for you. It's about getting it to the person that needs to hear it. So you may hear it, watch it, whatever, and pass it on to somebody else. Going, hey man, I heard this show. Pretty good guys, but this might be a little bit more applicable to what you got going on right now. So you can go back and watch all of our episodes on our YouTube channel. This one will be up there as soon as our show wraps because it's live.
Mhm.
But again, this has been a journey and one that I'm proud to be a part of, especially with this guy right here. We thank you so much for being a part of it. And we are going to sign off for the time being, and we'll see you down the road a little bit. But just please always remember, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in a time of need. And if you can do those 4 things, you've got a pretty good shot of taking a step in the right direction. So until we meet again, my name is Mac. My brother in arms and co-host, this is Alamo. We thank you so much for being here, and we will hope you all have a good night and a nice summer break, and we will see you soon. And happy birthday, Army.
Happy birthday, Army. And until next season, Battle Bros out.